Hey everyone, I want to show you how to do a Microsoft-like question here called deck of cards. So this question, in the input, it's going to give you a list of up to n cards, where n can be anywhere less than around 1 million cards. Now the output is the amount of decks you can create, the amount of standard playing decks you can create from all the cards that they've given you. So in an average playing deck, there's around 52 cards, and we want to see how many of these decks we can create out of all of these cards. So the first thing we're going to do is try and think of a data structure that can actually help us solve this question. So one of the best ones we can use for this is actually a hash map. For those of you that don't know, it's also referred to as a dictionary, and the way it works is off key value pairs. So in one column we have our key, in the second column we have our value. So what we can do is we can keep track of all the cards that come across in this array, and we can see how many times we have each of those cards. So say for example, let's say in this array the ace of spades shows up 7 times, and let's say every other card in this deck all the way up to, let's say, the 2 of diamonds shows up a grand total of 9 times. Right? So let's say everything except the ace of spades shows up 9 times. Well, that means we are only going to be able to construct 7 full decks because we only have 7 aces of spades. All the other decks will be missing aces of spades, which means the lowest amount of cards we have for any single card over here will be how many decks we can actually construct. So our goal is to actually find that value. So once we create a dictionary with every single card, what we can do is start keeping track of it. Whenever we have an ace of spades, we increment the counter for the ace of spades. Whenever we have a 5 of clubs, we increment the counter for 5 of clubs, etc., etc. Now, once we have the full-on list, the second step, so the first step was to create this hash map with all the keys and all the values. The second step would be to go and find the minimum value. Now, there's a couple of ways to do that. The first thing is we can simply iterate through all the keys while keeping a counter for the minimum value and just output it. So I'm going to show you some code in Python doing exactly what we just talked about. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a function. Now the parameter of this function is actually our regular input, the array of cards. The second thing we're going to do is create the dictionary in Python. So we're going to call it card map, and this card map is just going to be an empty dictionary for now, an empty hash map. Now after we create this hash map, what we're going to do is we're going to work on storing the cards. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to iterate through every single card in the deck. And as we iterate through it, we're going to check to see whether or not that card is in our card map. If it is not in our card map, we are going to create an entry for it. So let's say our first value is ace of spades, AS. As we can see, our map is empty, so we are going to actually add AS in here and set the count, the value, to 1. Now in the case that it already does exist in our card map, say for example we get another AS, what we're going to do is just increment that value. So this 1 would just turn into a 2. And we're going to do this for every single card until our entire list is completely populated. So what we're going to want to do now is find the card with the smallest count. But before we do that, we're going to have to account for an edge case. And this edge case is pretty much if we get an input that is less than 52 elements, we know that we need 52 cards to construct a deck. Therefore, it's impossible for us to actually have enough cards to construct a full deck. Now, even though our minimum, let's say we just got 1 card and that was ace of spades. In our map, our minimum might be 2, but because we only have aces of spades and we don't have any other cards, we actually can't build a full deck. So the edge case we're going to want to account for in this code is that we actually have at least 52 elements within our keys of our hash set. 52 keys means we have all 52 cards. And if we don't, so if we have less than 52 cards, what we're going to do is we're going to return 0, which means we can't build a full deck. Now we're going to find the card with the smallest count, and the way I'm going to do that, there's a lot of different ways you can do it. You can create a counter and actually go through each one of these keys and find the value with the smallest count. But what I do is a little trick called the Lambda Function, and all that does is it takes the map and it iterates through every single value and it just returns the minimum of it. As you can see here, what it's just going to do is return the minimum of every value for each key in the set. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you want to see more videos on how to solve more coding problems that will be present on, top company interviews, subscribe to this channel and follow along for more. Thanks for watching.